Hey folks, welcome to the Sunday supplement. This one's a quick one. There actually hasn't been too many topics that have taken up much of my time this week. So this one, we'll just read out kind of the key points that I've been looking at. So the very first one is I've had some time taken up thinking about NFTs. So NFTs, if you don't know, these kind of, to keep it simple, a digital kind of logbook that keeps track of everything, a blockchain. And an NFT is kind of like a token that is forever kind of embedded onto that blockchain that says, hey, you own this thing. So there's some neat ideas with this thing where obviously if I created an art piece, I could say, I'm going to sell it to you and I can give you the ownership. And then everybody that is a part of that blockchain can look back at that blockchain and know that I am the owner. And I think that's a cool concept. I think what is neat about this is there are some video games currently being created with the blockchain in mind, or at least they're thinking about it. Meaning, when you buy a skin, a microtransaction or something, and you know how they say, oh, it's tied to your account, but you don't own it. Well, you technically would own it because it would be on the blockchain and you would have the rights to transfer it. So I could go and buy, say, a Gears of War account, play it forever, have tons of unlocks, and it would all be on the blockchain. I would be the owner, and then I could transfer my account rights or just a portion of my skins to somebody else and sell them. Or, you know, it doesn't even, when I say sell, it doesn't necessarily mean money, just trade. I could say, I'll trade you my skin that I have for your skin. And I think this is a cool concept because obviously it can't be edited, it can't be changed. Once it's sort of imprinted on the blockchain, you're the owner, and you can, it's forever there, and you can kind of move it and do whatever you want with it. And I think that's a neat idea. I can definitely see that your digital ownership and rights with NFTs could become hugely important in the future. I know I'm just briefly touching on this topic and there's a whole amount of depth. You can feel free to have a bit of a look into it, but that's been something that's been taking up a portion of my time, mainly looking at real uses. Now, the issue is, and the reason it took up a bit more of my time was, people are selling basically pictures they're making for hundreds of thousands of pounds, or an icon that they make. Let's say you buy, or should I say, let's say you create a thumbnail for YouTube. People are selling these things for hundreds of thousands of dollars, these pictures, these images, these artworks, and I get it, right? I understand the idea of it. If I sit and I create a masterpiece drawing and I sell you the ownership, that's no different to you saying, hey, I own this other one-off specific piece. The problem is, because it's on the internet, this is where I don't get it. Maybe someone can help me out. It just seems a bit pointless. Like, let's take, for example, this mug, right? We have a perfect mat here for your drink. Now, if I go and give you the ownership and I sell this for, let's say, £100, yes, you own this, but there are millions and millions and millions of perfectly identical copies. So why does your ownership matter? Now, I could understand if the ownership of the artwork mattered because you owned the copyright, but that's not what's happening. They're not giving you the copyright. You can't own that picture and then begin to take other people's down off the internet and you're like, hey, I own this. That's not what they're doing at all. They're basically just saying, hey, you own this, and people are meant to care that you own it on a blockchain that nobody cares about. So the example they keep saying is, I've created this amazing picture. There's 10 prints of it in the world, right? And I sell it on the blockchain, and people pay me $50,000, and they own it. But the difference is, I can go and literally right-click save as that image and have a perfect replica with literally no difference to the one that the person spent £50,000 on, other than them saying they, quote, own it. Now, I understand the ownership could be important, but what they're trying to compare it to is they say, well, if you had an original Van Gogh painting and you went and, I don't know, sold it, or you go and yeah, you go and sell it, then that's a big thing in it. You own the original and you can sell it for so much because you own the original. And they're like, and I own the original of this picture too. But you don't. Because if you had a original Picasso, you've got the only one. Now, people do prints of it, but a print isn't the same as the original. People do copies and clones. That's not the same because they're ever so slightly different. The pigment of the paint, the slight stroke of the brush, the way it looks, the way it's aged. If you own the original, nobody has that. Whereas with an NFT, specifically the artwork side of it, people have copies and can make perfect copies of it. So I'm really not sure why people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for a picture that I can literally have identical a copy of. Second topic was Grand Theft Auto 5's Enhanced Edition in 2022 is coming out, and Kotaku said that they should, quote, leave the 2013 transphobia and bigotry behind. Now, this refers to the fact that there are some like over-the-top gay characters, there are some trans characters, people kill them in the streets, people do all kinds of stuff, right? They're a bit old, kind of voice lines, a bit outdated. But the point is, that is the time. That was the time the video game was created. And that was the era. And also, it doesn't reflect people's morals. And I'm sick of seeing people think that video games reflect people's morals. Have we not learned anything? Because this is what they're basically saying. When you remake GTA, you need to take out all the offensive things because they're not acceptable anymore. Well, that's like saying, let's not make a video game with shooting anymore because murder's unacceptable. Let's take out, let's take out all the drugs in GTA because they're illegal. Oh, but if you purchase it in a country that has legal weed, then your version of GTA can have weed in the game. Or, let's take out Grand Theft Auto from Grand Theft Auto because that's wrong and that teaches children the wrong message. Have we not learned anything? People aren't... GTA isn't the reason people are bigoted. And I'm just sick of these stupid fucking articles that can't accept that video games are different to real life. And the time that the piece of medium or art was created matters. This is like saying to Call of Duty Vanguard, look, I know you're making a World War II game, but can we just not mention any sort of reference to a war or anything like that, please, because we don't want that anymore. We're making our Wolfenstein, the World War II game. Can we not mention Adolf Hitler? Can we not mention anything to do with the Nazi regime? Because that's not acceptable anymore. So we don't want that in our video game. It's like, bro, just let people fucking enjoy themselves. If they want to go on GTA and fucking go into a strip club and shoot it up and then go and do a fucking road rage and run over 800 civilians and then fire themselves out of a cannon into the sea, go and let them do it, bro. It's a video game. I'm sick of people like policing how the fuck video games work. It's not real life, bro. So yeah, Kotaku, once again, with another stupid article. Next, I've got live service games have, quote, set an impossible expectation for indie hits like Valheim. So what this basically means is there are games out there like Valheim. If you don't know, I've got a playthrough of it on my channel. Really enjoyed it. Check it out. Valheim was this game where you're like a Viking that lands on the seas. You start with nothing. You learn to cook, to craft, to build, and you kind of advance through the civilizations. Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, etc. But there obviously comes a point where you complete the content and then you're kind of a bit bored of it. And the expectation now of a video game and live services is that it's content constantly, like we saw with Gears 5. Every 3 months people want content and are upset if the content isn't enough. And they're saying that this has set an impossible expectation for indie games and other games. But I will flip this on its head and say, those games aren't finished. Valheim didn't have an end point. The game ended when I played it, and then there was no end. So how about, instead of making everything a game that is unfinished, instead of making a game really expensive, long-winded, and it takes a long time to get through, and then by the time you've got through it, there's no ending because you ran out of money to develop it, then how about we do this? Instead of making people have expectations of constant updates, how about we do this? We make a game and we understand, hey, we're an indie studio. We can't do years of post-launch support. That's super expensive. We can't compete with the live service of a Warzone. So instead, what we'll do is we'll create a smaller product that's more polished. It's a little bit shorter from start to finish, but there is a completion. There is a start, a middle, and an end. And maybe later down the line, if we sell a ton of copies of our complete game, maybe we can make a DLC. And then we lower the price and we make the price reasonable. Now, Valheim was actually a very reasonable price, which is, I think, why it did so well and why people weren't as upset that it wasn't a completed game or a complete quotes kind of set of content, because there was yes, there was a start, a middle, there wasn't quite an end, but it was like £10 and you had hundreds of hours of fun. But what we're doing now with video games is we're making a game that comes out, it costs $60, it's not finished, so then obviously people expect a ton of support. So I don't think that live service games have set an impossible expectation for games. I think they have just warped people's minds that all games get years of post-launch support, and that's not the reality. However, developers are falling into this trap by not releasing finished product, and when a product isn't finished, people want support for the product, and then when they want support, they look at all the other games that get support and think, I want that level of support. So in a way, yes, we are trying to have impossible expectations, but the reason we even have those expectations is because you're making your product unfinished. So how about we take a little bit longer to finish the game, we shorten the length of the game or the scope of the game, we polish it up and we make a start, middle and end. It's a polished experience that you can finish, play, and then put down and recommend, rather than saying, well, it's currently not finished and it currently needs some support, so I can't recommend it fully, but maybe it has good post-launch support, and then the devs say, we haven't got millions of dollars for post-launch support. Yeah, just try finishing your game next time. Second to last, we have Halo. I've just finished playing some Halo Infinite. I got, again, access to the beta, and you might think, why didn't I stream it? Why didn't I showcase any on YouTube? The truth is, I just found it bland. No, maybe Big Team Battle or something spices it up. I just found it really bland. I played like 25 minutes. I didn't play any online because I just couldn't be bothered with that. I just wanted to play bots, get a feel to it. And when I played Halo Infinite again, I got the same feeling. Yes, the game ran a bit smoother this time. Performance was better, and that did make the experience feel a bit better. But when I played the game, I felt like the joy of the Halo experience, the feeling like this floaty space marine fighting aliens with like bright coloured combat, I felt like it had gone. It felt like I was playing Halo with knee slide, grapple hook mechanics, climb up mantles. Like, you weren't floating and then crouch jumping to land on the ledge. You were just knee slide, jumping, mantling up a ledge. And it felt like I was playing Call of Duty with a Halo skin on top. Now, I'm absolutely certain the game will be popular because it feels fluid. It does move. It does move well, and it does you know, it plays well, but the gun mechanics just felt like I was playing COD. It felt very familiar, which I understand why they've gone for, because maybe if you haven't played hundreds of hours of Halo, you you know, you want to just jump into something a bit more sort of akin to what you regularly play. But when I was playing Halo, I was like, I just didn't feel like I was playing Halo. It didn't feel like a magical Halo experience. I didn't hear like the atmospheric audio. Like, I think about oh man, the map, the famous Oddball map. There's a big circle in the middle. It's like a cross. There's a lift going up. Down below there's a hammer. There's like a back area of trees. I can't think of the name right now. That you'd have all that ambient audio and stuff. And when I played this Halo, I just felt like it had that like air of dust and mist, like hazy fog, atmospheric fog. It just looked like I was playing a modern COD game. And I don't mean that as any disrespect, because a load of people like Call of Duty. I just didn't really feel like I was playing Halo, and I was like, you know, there's no co-op campaign launching with the game. There's no Forge mode. It's just going to be kind of like a free-to-play battle pass grinding game of Halo meets Warzone. Like, I can see it being a massive success, but it's not something that really took my fancy. Maybe in a few more months or something, or like after I've played it a bit, I get into it, but I'm not sure. And lastly, the thing that took up most of my time this weekend was, strangely, Gears of War 1. So I'm sure at some point I will post up a couple of videos, but I decided for a few days to bring back Gears of War 1 Xbox. So I was the only guy in the world that seemed to be hosting a ranked match. We managed to get a ranked Warzone game. It didn't go that well for me. I'm using one of these. So because I'm on an Xbox 360, I don't have an Xbox One or an Xbox Series S or X. I can't use my Xbox Series X controller, which is the one that I use for my PC. So instead, I was using this controller, which is like a 360 clone. It feels really good to hold. Feels really good. It works well. Button registers right. Triggers and the triggers and bumpers feel okay, but the analog stick has no movement. Like if I do this, the scope doesn't even move. So it was very jarring and very janky to aim, and I didn't have the best experience. However, I did really enjoy playing the game, having the community in there, having a bit of buzz on the stream, and just having a bit of a throwback and playing it. There was a ton of fun in there, but I will say that towards the end we had a group of, I think they were competitive Gears of War players, and when I haven't played on a controller forever, and my controller's broken, I was struggling to hang with them. It was difficult. They're doing like reaction shots through walls, they're whip shotting me, they're doing all of this stuff that I used to be able to do, but I can't really do it anymore. And the problem I guess I had, and like I said during the game, when I call someone sweaty, it's like an honor thing for Gears. Like when I say sweaty, I just mean he's really playing well. But there was an element of it that did make me think, and the reason I bring up this topic was somebody asked me on Twitter, hey, how come everybody is all about esports, is all about wages, is all about wins? And the truth is, the games that we used to play, they can't function anymore. So I've always told people that Gears of War 1 had the strongest Lancer. It was, in some regards, the most campy for game battles because you couldn't really push against good teams in some regards. Not quite as bad as Gears 3, that was quite bad. But in some aspects, it was very brutal. Hose pistol. Yeah, if you get caught out with a Lancer, there was no weapon slide on the GB settings, you couldn't pick up weapons. The smoke grenades weren't very good as cover. There was a ton of stuff that was wrong with Gears 1. But it was fun because there was sort of this gentleman's agreement of, you don't really do that. You just kind of scrap it out. You two-piece, you sprint in there. Like two-piece is about as, quote, dirty as you get. If you active down, you headshot them if it's like for a 2v1 situation, maybe you're playing ranked. But what was happening to me was I was playing Warzone. I was been triple actived. I was been active down in player matches, and when I was in 2v1s and 3v1s, the guy would come at me, he would Lancer me front on. Let's say we're on Tyro Station. I couldn't hop down the train tracks because the guy was covering the jump down, and I was just getting angled off with Lancers and pistols. And I understand that is the correct way to play, and that's the modern way to play games. You communicate, you get angles, you don't let people move. And we used to do all of that stuff back in Gears of War 1 as well during game battles. But in ranked, it was more like you did a bit of Lancer, and like if you thought, oh shit, he's going boom, I'm going to take out my Lancer and get him down or stop him getting torpo. But generally going wide on people and angling them off and just never allowing them to clutch is the correct way to play, and that's how modern games have transitioned to be big team games, but it just wasn't very fun. Now, I personally, because I played Gears 1 for so long, I could handle it, I was like, these guys are sweaty fucks, but, I get it. I'd rather have people try, and then I can try and fight back with my lack of skill these days and have a bit of a fight than just play, complete noobs. Obviously, it's way more fun having your limits tested, right? But because we were trying to get the community back, I obviously had a few people that hadn't really played the game before, and they were coming out of the game saying like, that's fun, mate, but I just wanted to kind of get to grips with the game, have a bit of a shotgun fight. Bear in mind, I'm a UK host. These guys are in like other places of the world. It's lagging. And just to be like kind of cross-lancered, you know, active downed, finished off instantly. They were finding it a bit too much. So it's just a kind of shame that there's just this, the gentleman's agreement of like try and keep the game somewhat fun but competitive has kind of gone. It's all about the W, the wager, the esports and everything these days. But I enjoyed it, and I'm going to probably post a few videos. My grand plan of bringing back Gears of War 1 might not come into fruition because of that. The reality is the only people that probably are interested in playing Gears 1 are going to be the hardcore players, and then it's just going to turn into a big GB sweatfest, which is okay for one evening every so often, but playing it continually is not that fun, and I don't think any new players would find it very welcoming. So I don't think I'm going to host Gears of War 1 every night, but I might try and make it a lot more of a regular occurrence. Maybe like each Friday night I host Gears 1 or something like that, just so there's something for you guys to hop on into. So there's no promises there, but I did enjoy my time playing it. It was nostalgic. I had a good, I think we played 3 days, so 3 streams, probably like 9 hours total. We played some ranked matches, met some cool people. It was good fun. It just towards the end, I just got those flashbacks of the Gears of War 1 game battles days, and I was like, I'm not really into that anymore. Certainly not 720p 30 FPS, like maybe if it was the PC version or something, but not the Xbox 360 version. All right, that was your Sunday supplement, just a quick chat, just a quick roundup. I want to thank all the people that commented in the last video, because you were the people that decided for me to actually go ahead and make another episode. So on the last Sunday supplement, I asked if we get 50 likes and 20 comments, I would make another. We got 76 likes and 44 comments, which was fantastic. So I'm just going to say the same thing again. If you want to hear me do a bit of a roundup, for all of the stuff that was in my mind this week, then we'll say 40 likes, 20 comments, and we can do that. I've got more topics coming up next week, for sure, because I think there's a few things in the pipeline, but this was just a simple one. I'd also, just as a check, or should I say just as a shout out, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the members that are supporting the channel directly. You're a big help. So a big shout out to the 20 members that are supporting the content on YouTube and keeping the channel going. I'm at a point at the moment where a few things have happened and the memberships are really helping sort of keep me afloat a bit. So I really appreciate everyone that's tuning in and deciding to become a member for as little as $1.99. So the members we have, and thanks to these, we have Weeaboo Jones, Joel Lowe, Frederick Foreman, we have Ryan Cleven, shout out for Node to all the support. We have Boar ISS, Jalen Johnson, or Yalen Johnson, however you pronounce that one, Echo J, Michael Champagne, Crazy, MJ, Babyman Gaming, Gravelord, Realize, Cancel Gang, TY Anderson, William Barr, Happy Jordan, Joe Bear, Lee Goodwin, and Josh. Well, we'll just say Josh, you know who you are. Appreciate that. So thank you for all of your support. Really do appreciate that. If anyone else wants to join, it's $1.99. You get exclusive videos, badges to use in the comment section, etc. You can also join the Discord if you want. All the links below. And if you want to check out my second channel, which is all to do with football, again, check the link tree in the description. Everything you need is there. Okay.